Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, keeping you informed is what we always do, and welcome to the 8 o'clock hour, just 4 minutes past the top of the hour. Once again, I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyito. In case you've just joined us, this is your morning show here on UBC TV. From the hour of 6:30, we are here to give you relevant information as you kickstart your day. So if you want to be an informed person right from the sunset, then there's no any other place to be or watch. That is UBC TV, and it is Good Morning Uganda. It's time for our agenda, and this morning we want to focus on the role of diaspora associations towards national development. We know we have so many Ugandans that are outside Uganda making ends meet for various reasons, but what is their role? We know they bring in a lot of money into Uganda, in our economy, but let's better understand when we talk about the diaspora communities, what is their role towards national development. And with me in studios this morning, I have Olivia Nantongo, who happens to be the head of diaspora coordinator on, that is Trade and Investment USA, under the Office of the President and the Diaspora Affairs. Nantongo.
Yes.
I'm delighted to have Omosama. You know, that's how we refer to you.
I know it sounds so weird to be called that, but thank you for having me here. Good morning, Uganda. Yeah,
we're eager to know. Let's begin. When we talk about the diaspora, what does the diaspora comprise of? Because is it those that have lived there for so long, or even if I go for one?
When you talk about comprising diaspora, it's actually anyone that has left their nation. Let's say Ugandans that have left Uganda to go maybe even to the neighboring countries, Kenya, Tanzania. So it's not just about going to the Western world. Most people think about the diaspora only the type of population that have immigrated to the States or to Europe. But actually anyone that leaves the country and goes outside is considered a diaspora.
When we talk about the diaspora, also help us understand, yes, anyone who leaves the country. We've had a number of various associations. We have, the United North American, we have those in South Africa, we have, so when we talk about Olivia Nantongo, what is your constituency like? Do you even operate for those just in Kenya here?
No, I actually operate worldwide, in other words. But when it comes to trade and investments, I take care of the whole United States. But the thing you have to remember, these associations, they can be very helpful in collecting, our people together, fighting for one aim, and also keeping the culture, movement, the traditions. It's very important for us to have that those organizations. In other words.
How do you people in diaspora identify yourself with Uganda? Because we know there are those that you even hear sometimes reach the diaspora and they want to cease being Ugandans. We've heard of many of them, many who leave Uganda at their own will, then reach there, we are asylum seekers, all this. How do you identify with Uganda?
I mean, personally, I'm very rooted in my culture. I'm Ugandan. It doesn't matter where I go, home is home. Always home is home. So for me, it's very important to pass on the culture, traditions to my children, but also educate my friends abroad. What makes me a proud Ugandan, and not just a proud Ugandan, but what makes me a proud African. You really have to be rooted in your traditions and culture. I know that it happens, people leave the country and want to adapt other ways of living. It's not wrong to try to assimilate into a society, especially a new one. But you can never forget your roots. Like this color here, this beautiful color, by the way, it can never be erased. Now you can try to change your mentality, but it's not going to live up to your image. So it's always much better to be proud of where you come from. And I'm a proud Ugandan.
I love that, a proud Ugandan. Now let's look at our expectations. What should we expect from these diaspora associations? Because, you know, these are people that left Uganda. Apart from what comes back in terms of money you send to relatives, money you come
and that's invest. Very important. The diaspora contributes to $1.4 billion yearly. That's a lot of money. And not only do they contribute to the economic aspect, but they are very important in other ways. They can push policies in other countries. They can pass on tourism by talking about what's good about the country in itself. Investors, what I'm doing right now, bringing people from the diaspora or other countries to invest in the infrastructure here, create jobs for our youth. So there are many things that one can do. But of course, people on the ground, and I mean Ugandans, have to make it an easier process, because the main obstacle is trying to get the knowledge from wherever you are to bring it back here, and facing a lot of obstacles that are not even necessary. Remember, you're doing out of goodwill, you're not getting paid for it. So why should you have stress on top of it? It really hinders a lot of people to continue passing on knowledge. I believe in, once you know something good, pass it on. Knowledge is very important. We have lawyers, doctors, we have politicians that are willing to come and share the knowledge, but when it's so limited to share the knowledge here, it really sets everything back.
Talking about limitations, we know you're in charge of trade and investment. Over a time, His Excellency has talked about issues of ensuring that we make it quick as possible. And when we look at the Uganda Investment Authority, they came up with at least one-stop center just to ease trade. Do we still have serious bottlenecks when it comes to investors coming back home in Uganda?
I've been so impressed by various sectors and ministers that I've met, especially the UIA. They are so professional. When they say it's a one-stop shop, it really is. You get all the information there. They have teams set up. I was so impressed, and it brings pride in me as a Ugandan to see that we're actually scaling up our professionalism. So yeah, it will make everything much easier, but you know, mistakes can happen, as they do in anything, but you learn from it and you move on. But so far, I've only had good experiences, actually. Yeah.
Very interesting. Still looking at the diaspora, many times people have wondered, many believe that the diaspora is there, not so much in terms of investment, because maybe many are there expecting to be given. What are some of these challenges that the people in diaspora face in terms of ensuring that there's something like they set back home?
You have to understand, anyone that leaves the country, and it's not just Ugandans, any African, any Arab that leaves, any Indian that leaves, it gives a form of hope to the families left behind. We are one of the people that live under very stressful situations, because you have your own family, as you know, husband and wife and children, and then we have the outside families, right? We have the cousins and the aunties and the uncles, and now everyone is looking up to you and expecting you to help. The amount of stress diasporans go through is incredible, because it hinders us to build generational wealth. It really does. You can't invest in something when you're reaching out to your family members, telling them, I can't continuously be sending money. Let's open up a business. You understand? And that's not the mentality they have. You know, handouts are okay every now and then, but building generation wealth is even more important. Setting up businesses is more important. But you find that the people on the ground are really less interested in that.
So how can Ugandans then tap into the opportunities of the Western world here at Nantongo? Because like I earlier said, and you've already said, that many think if we have people in diaspora, then we reach out our hands. But what are some of these opportunities that we can tap into, if at all they are there?
The opportunities are many, but like I said, you guys have to open up the doors to the diaspora. Stop looking at the diaspora as a cash flow. Set up goals. You know, people can come collectively together. If $1.4 billion is sent yearly, imagine if there was a way that money was centered. That's a lot of money. And you take, you have a program set up that you're following. This year we're going to work on this. Next year we're going to work on this, like the healthcare system, the education, even the infrastructure. All these things can all be combined and worked on collectively, of course, collectively, rather than sending handouts that are not leading to anything.
When you talk about you, the people in diaspora, and Nantongo, let's also get to understand this better. Are there tangible things that you can be proud of as the people in diaspora that you've done for this country? For example, I'll come home and look at Rotary clubs here.
Yeah.
We have water, boreholes, we have, they have carried out some medical camps. What have you done as the people in the diaspora in terms of socio-economic transformation of our country?
So one thing that I'm really proud of as a Ugandan and starting off living in Europe is having culture centers, where they make sure that they maintain our culture and traditions, because it's very easy having children abroad and taking on behaviors of another. So by being proud in your legacy, you know, and wanting to pass it on, the culture centers have been very, very helpful, not only to Ugandans, but also spreading the knowledge to our brothers and sisters that were taken, you know, through the ancestry line, educating them about what it means to be an African. So that's one thing that I take pride in, that I really see is being promoted well. Now we're pushing for policies when it comes to politicians in different sectors. We're pushing for sister cities to be built so we can learn from each other. It's not just us teaching, but we have so much we can take from the West and bring into the continent of Africa. So another way of doing that, of course, is promoting sister cities, where we can work together. You know, we can exchange students, doctors, and in so many areas actually. So we're pushing for that, and the politicians are very open to that.
I love when you talk about politics, realm. Most of the time, some people think that a number of challenges we are facing, so much negative criticism comes from the diaspora, and sometimes people think that many people in the diaspora, maybe they have lost love for home, or they're either not in touch. It sometimes seems so unrealistic when we see most of the people there, what you're pushing for. Are you agents of transformation? Are you agents of, what I call it, neocolonialism? Who are you really? Because most of the times when you talk about you push for policies, people back home have seen you as pushing in a negative form. When we see most of sometimes the unrest we get here, we hear that people in diaspora, most of the videos we see, the agitation, you seem like these may not have touch of actually what's happening on ground. And maybe they're thinking of a Uganda that is next or should be at the same pace as the countries where they are.
One thing you have to ask yourself, what is the category of the people creating the negativity, first of all? What is the level of education, as in knowledge of what's going on in the country? Are they aware of how Uganda is, moving forward? Now, because I come here often, I see progress every time I come here. But for someone who doesn't come here often and takes on rumors, so to say, they won't know the progress. They won't know the progress. And then collectively, I mean, you can't put everyone in the same basket. Really, we are different individuals. You have those that are really negative about Uganda, and you have those that are very positive and they want to push. They're pushing for a better Ugandan. So you can put the diasporans under the same basket because we're not. We're not. Some of us are very outgoing. Look at me. I'm bringing investors here. I'm bringing teams of politicians. My next team is going to be a team of politicians. Why am I doing that? Because it's good to learn from each other. So it depends on what each individual can do. But then, if someone is doing 2 or 3 jobs, trying to take care of the family here, do you really think they have time to be involved in anything else? They might pick up the negativity and just write on that. I mean, today we are blessed to have the internet, right in our hand. But how many people take the time to really try to find out what's going on with my country, what's going on in my village? I'm not sure many people are concerned about that.
You've talked about bringing investors into this country, and of course that puts a smile on my face because one of the things we are really craving for are investors. How do you do this? Let's also understand, when we bring investors into this country, what opportunities are there for the Ugandans? Let's get to know, you've talked about these investors, which type of investors, if there are opportunities, someone watching our show this morning, how do they tap into these opportunities?
Well, one thing you have to understand, there is an awakening among black people, as people of color. No matter where you go, you always find your way home. Now, it might have been 400 years since our ancestors were taken over to the other side, but our cousins and brothers and aunties, they're waking up. It's like the spirit of Africa is calling them home. So they're really eager to come and find out what can they do here, how can they invest in the continent. And honestly, this is the richest continent. There's no doubt about that. So we have a responsibility. We have neglected that part. That's one of the reasons why we live in extreme poverty. Everyone else comes here, why? To make money, except the black man. We're giving away everything, right? So the only way to change that is to get involved as black people, take charge of our minerals and whatever resources that are available, and provide jobs for the youth. It hurts me to see our youth get on these boats, drowning, going over to the other side where poverty is actually, that is not spoken about, rather than investing in a continent. So we need to change the mindset. We've been brainwashed to believe that Africa is the poorest continent. But it's not true. We all know that. It's not true. So the new generations will change things around.
Talking about the new generations changing things around, many of them are relying on you, knowing that, yes, these are brothers and sisters that went for greener pastures. Now it's time they come home and invest. But what kind of investments are you making here?
This is my first time bringing a team over. And one of the investors is very interested in coffee production. As we know, Uganda has some of the best coffee, right? And it's not being marketed at the right way, So someone will buy Ugandan coffee and relabel the coffee. The marketing is not set up the right way. Why can't Ugandans seek out to find the investors? That's what I'm doing. I want everyone to know this coffee that I'm drinking is from Uganda. It's different from other types of coffees. Rather than getting someone in Kenya or Tanzania to buy it, relabel the whole package, and somewhere put a little fine print product of Uganda that no one is even interested to read, it doesn't give us exposure. It doesn't give us exposure. Another investor is interested in honey because they deal with honey wine, so they're interested in honey. I know we have some of the best honeys here too, and of course water pumps. So this is my first team to bring here, but let me tell you, I have plenty investors that want to come and explore the opportunities here. Now, what you people on the ground need to do is to make the process as smooth as possible, because no one is going to take time out of their work, come over here to explore what's going on, how can they invest, and then face hardship. No one wants to bring their money where it doesn't feel like it's going to be secure. So if we want to improve and build our nation, we have to change our mentality. Don't look at someone as a cash bag for the moment. Look at the bigger picture. How many jobs are they going to create? And the investors that I'm bringing, and this is very important, the investors I'm bringing, I don't want them to just come here and make money off us like any other have done. You understand? They have to provide jobs to Ugandans. These are one of the commands that I give. They have to provide jobs to Ugandans. They also, like the one that's going to deal with coffee, Mr. Tyrone Blackburn, he has another setup where he wants to, for each package of coffee he sells, he wants a certain percentage to go back to the farmers. This way they can build generational wealth. So their product is not finalized by, shipping it off. Something is coming back in return. And, I think that's beautiful.
Well, it is a Good Morning Uganda agenda, and remember you can be part of the conversation this morning by simply going on our social media platforms and send us a message. That is the number on your screen, 0709 60 25 and 92, and we'll be eager to hear from you as we discuss the role of the Diaspora Associations towards national development. These are people that are not living in Uganda, but there are Ugandans, there are our own that are in these countries, and how best can they be of use towards national development? How best can they be of use in terms of our socio-economic transformation of this country? And with me in studios this morning, I have Olivia Nantongo, who happens to be, that's the head of the Diaspora Coordinator on Trade and Investment USA with the Office of the President and the Diaspora Affairs, with whom we are discussing these issues. We know many long actually to leave Uganda. Number of people for reasons to get better pastures. Some may be as tourists. But when we get to those destinations, how can we be of use at home? This is what we are trying to digest and understand. Away from sending monies that she said, well, we should not look at these people as cash cows. We should look at them as people that also go there to earn a living. But we return, and for us the question is, how do we benefit from our sons and daughters of the soil that are in these countries? We've talked about investors. Really, this is the way to go for our country. But still, you seem expectant of the reception at home. I'm very interested when you talk about investors in the agriculture sector.
Yeah.
We've had so many investors in the world of industrialization, more so not in the agriculture sector.
Yeah.
Maybe those that manufacture a lot of things away from agriculture. Why did you particularly choose to focus in the field of agriculture?
Well, one main reason, we have the best climate. Our soils are so fertile. They're very organic. When you look at the food industry, today is full of chemicals. They're literally feeding us chemicals abroad because everything has to be grown at a rapid pace, ending up causing cancer and, other diseases, of course. Uganda is still one of those countries that is planting food organically. So, with that in mind, I feel it's my responsibility because, I love our food, is organic and all that. And you are what you eat, honestly. So for me, it was important to promote that, to promote the agriculture. But also, who feeds the nations? The farmers do. And they don't really get the recognition. They never do. You understand? So we have to start from the soil. Because if you can feed, you can survive. So the farmers are important. When the farmers cannot produce, nations starve to death. Not so? Exactly. So that's one of my reasons why I had to start with the farmers. You always have to start from the foundation.
Well, let me look at some of the messages that are coming in. Nantongo nsanyuse okumulabako, and I'm glad when she talked of investors to deal with coffee. My advice to her is that investors must come down to villages, not to work with town dealers. We need as farmers, we need them as farmers down here.
And we
did. That is retired Captain Chitaka Mayanja in Chiboga.
We did. We were in Bushenyi. We took, it was it's a road trip. It was fun. It was also a way to tour and show them our beautiful Uganda. They loved it. We met with the farmers. We also went to coffee production, that are set up already. We went to smaller farmers. So that's important to me. I'm not looking for the big guys on top. I want to start from the foundation.
Let's also have another one, and this is the best way to start with is not to ship in values that don't match with our African values. African patriotism may need these investors, but we have failed to start at what the epitome solution is. We can't have all these processes work until we have our governance work. Well, I didn't get the name of this person, but please send us your name and maybe where you're watching us from so that we can know who we are speaking to. It says, I think there's so much away from investment that this person looks at, but says there's so much I think that government has to first do. Do you believe, Nantongo, that we still have an environment that is not favorable to investors? Because I'm trying to look into the mind of what the person sent the message.
Well, yes and no. From my experience, I would say no, because I had a very positive experience. From past experiences and the stories I've been hearing from others, yeah, there are loops that need to be worked on, which is really what you can expect anywhere you go. Things have to be worked on. But if you want serious investors, there shouldn't be any loopholes. You understand? It should be professionally done, professionally set up. Someone comes here, they're welcomed, and they're shown the exact areas they want to go and invest in. Because no one has enough time to come and just waste to go around. Honestly, most investors, they just want to come in and out. Yeah.
Still, let's do. Okay. Hello, good morning, UBC. True, they send lots of money, especially in development projects such as housing sector. Thank you for the program. That is from Hilary in Uganda. Okay, thank you, Hilary, from Uganda, for watching. Then another one, Chirabo, link me with Nantongo. I have already organized farmers, please. Okay, but I need your name there. It is very important. Already the farmers are waiting. So if you're talking about coffee, there are people that are ready to work with the investors that you've talked about coming into the country. Please keep the messages coming in, and that is on our social media platform, WhatsApp number, but you can also use the traditional SMS, still on the same number, which is 0709 60 25 92, and we'll be reading them out, and of course my guest in studio will be able to respond to your questions, your observation, and how best we can tap into the opportunities that there are in through the various diaspora organizations. Maybe Nantongo, Ugandans, we know a number of diaspora organizations. And when you talk about diaspora, various countries, some you have the South African chapter, you have UNA, you have mentioned but a few. Recently also, I think UNA had some bit of split and something like that. So if Ugandans have ideas, how do the people in diaspora help?
You mean Ugandans on the ground?
Yeah, Ugandans on the ground.
Well, they have to reach out to these organizations. You have to have the interest, and sometimes it won't be easy. But you can use the embassies. They have a number of organizations that they can refer you to. I mean, send emails. And I know that sometimes embassies work very slow, but don't give up. Continue. I mean, get in touch with me as well. I'm sure I can give you a link where people can reach me at. But the Office of the Diaspora Affairs is here in Uganda. Go reach out to them. It's their responsibility. Go reach out to them and tell them, this is what I have on ground. What do you have for me from the diaspora? Because they know what's available. And if they don't know, they will ask us and we will tell them.
Have diaspora associations really done a lot of impact? Most of the times, you for annual gatherings, where we see people leave this country, members of parliament, we hear government has spent this amount of money for people to go and attend this annual, I won't mention, but but you get what I'm talking about. We sent 5 MPs. One time even, I think I had to send a deputy speaker. And it's like, yes, they're converging, they're having fun, they're discussing.
Again, we're talking about priority here.
Really.
We're talking about priority here. What's the goal of these organizations? Is it just to have fun or to build something solid? I'm not a president or a chairperson in these organizations, so I cannot really speak for it, but any organizations that I want to be part of has to be productive, not just about partying, because at the end of the day, you will spend so much money doing nothing when the people back home are relying on you to do something. So I'm not part of any type of organization that is all about that. So priorities, again, priorities need to be rearranged. Why are these organizations created?
Has government given you a clear platform as people in diaspora through which you can be able to invest back home? Because many of the times, some of the challenges we hear from people in diaspora is it is risky to invest in Uganda. So when we send our funds home, we do not get the best out of them. So how is this being handled? How is it being handled?
There is the Office of Diaspora Affairs. Is the office where anyone who wants to invest, as a Ugandan as well, because there are some incentives that we as Ugandans can also take part of, well, right? But lack of knowledge, again, people don't do enough research. You know why? Because we have family members, and with family there is a trust that you think is viable until money gets involved, right? So you don't necessarily look at the organizations outside to help you, and many people have lost their money this way. You understand? Rather than going through the diaspora where they have everything set up, where you can register for your land, whether it's a business and so on, and your money will pass through the right hands with lawyers and documentation, it will be so much easier to think, my auntie, my uncle, my mother or my brother can take care of this. I mean, they have companies that can take care of, building your home and setting it up together. But we have a culture of working together as families, and you won't think about the negativity or that someone is going to take your money and not do what you ask them to do, because it's family. Until it happens to you, you don't have the idea, because you're thinking that we're working together to build something, but the other person has other intentions, of course.
Well, let me look through more messages. Hello, good morning, UBC. True, they send a lot of money, especially in development projects such as housing sector. Thank you for the program. Hillary from Uganda. Okay, still, the diaspora are really doing a great contribution in Uganda. But please, Nantongo, when you are bringing investors, advise them to invest in all the regions, not only in Central Region. This is Isaac Ojok from Agago. Thank you, Isaac, for your message. Good morning, Mr. Chirabo. I'm Okero Kivu Patrick from Arua City. We always hear about investors, but we have never seen them in our region. Which people are they targeting? Because Nebi, Zombo and other districts around West Nile are not seeing the investors. Well, also let me do away with this. Hello, Madam Nantongo. Is it possible to create market stores in US where we can send our fresh products directly and also sold by Ugandans? If it is quality, why don't the Americans come and supervise the quality way of doing things from the designated farmers themselves? Moses Lukwago. Thank you, Moses. And finally, yes, the message is a number, but let me just read this. Good morning, Uganda. I'm grateful for the development contribution to Uganda by Madame Nantongo Olivia. She's promising to bring the investors here because Uganda is rich naturally. But most of our people, youth, are being sold as slaves in Arab countries. How are you going to bring the youth back home? Richard from Entebbe. For now, let's handle those.
How do you bring the youth back home? Of course, by creating jobs. The only reason they're leaving from here is to seek greener pastures. If our country, when our country gets to the level of eradicating poverty and giving the right education, no one has to leave the continent, not just Uganda. No one has to leave the continent of Africa. But we all hold a responsibility. We might sit back and complain, our leaders in the government are not doing the right thing, but what have you done to contribute to a positive image?
Okay, hello, my name is Rwanga John Bosco. Owenchima Mugambe ajeko eno Masaka tulambuleko ffe tulima mwanyi. Literally meaning, of course, Nantong is for the Monkey Clan. And says, well, lady from the Monkey Clan, visit Masaka because here we are doing they do a lot of coffee planting there. And Diaspora, okay, let me also look at some of the messages, the SMSs that have come in. Diaspora is an instrument. Olivia's number, please. Okay, not going to that. Nantongo, thanks for the initiative of bringing investors back home. But in Kasese district, we need them. That is Joseph from Kasese. There's so much craving for investors in different parts of Uganda.
I see that.
And many are saying, bring them here. But let me have your closing shots.
Well, my closing shot is I just want to remind everyone, we as Africans need to wake up and unite, okay? We have the richest continent. We're literally walking on money. Like every footstep you're taking, you're walking on money, but we have failed to see that. We let everyone else come in, you know? Do you think Chinese, Indian, Lebanese, even Americans who pack their loads and come here because there's no money? There's plenty of money here. So we need to learn to work collectively. There's something called crowdfunding. If I don't have enough money to invest, how about I come together with you and you bring your brother and cousin and so on, and we put the money collectively together. So we need to build trust with each other, and we need to work collectively together. Let's go back to the old ways. They always worked. They never failed our ancestors. They used to trade with each other. What's stopping us from doing that? So, I mean, I can't say enough about how the continent is suffering. Not just Uganda, the African continent is suffering. We've been tricked into huge amounts of debts that we don't even have to. Look how Magufuli was built in Tanzania without taking a single penny from any, how you call it, investors that came in to loan money, you know. So we need to also be involved and talk to our leaders in the government not to accept these loan shark investors, you know.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Olivia Nantongo, who is the head of the Diaspora Coordinator on Trade and Investment, USA, under the Office of the President, and the Diaspora Affairs, for having phone time. It is all about how best can we tap into the opportunities that the Diaspora has for us towards national development. One of the biggest issues is trust, and also ensuring that the conditions back home are very favorable for these people when they have or when they come here to invest. Have a lovely day. Don't forget to take your jab, but also remember that being vaccinated does not mean that you can't contract COVID-19. Still perfect the standard operating procedures. See you tomorrow, same day, God willing. Let me leave you with Ruben to take you through the world of sports. Lovely day.